Good now, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Today is Tuesday, August 12th. We're going to get some CPI data later today. We've got some world leaders meeting in Ukraine tomorrow. And of course, we've got lots of speculation about where the market is going. Is it up? Is it down? Is the bull run on? Who knows? We're here to talk about it and help you make sense of the wild and wonderful world of cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, the technologies of the future of the internet. So if you have got a question, leave it in the comments. Let us know what you're thinking. Alex, how are you, man?
Dude, I am still sick.
Still? It's sick?
It's lingering. Like I feel, you know how you have the feeling of sick, like just the slow, the foggy, the overly hot or overly cold, whatever. Yeah, that's gone. That was 3 days, and now, if you can't tell, it's
as if on cue.
Still, well, and plus because even puffs with lotion, shout out, couldn't save me. I have this little cut, just this microscopic cut right on the tip of my nose, just barely on the inside, and it's the worst spot ever, and I'm trying so hard to let this little tiny scab that has formed. This is way too much information, I'm sorry. Good morning. But I'm trying so hard to leave it alone, because obviously every time it rips, it starts over. We start over
afresh.
And dude, all I want is for this to be healed. So I'm like, come on, body, don't fail me now. And we're getting there. So far, keep up the streak. I'm 2 days in to between the last time that I accidentally
ripped your strip.
Yeah. So other than that, I'm all right. I was telling you backstage. Well, of course, now as I'm saying this, I have something in my eye, so everyone's watching me furiously try to dig this thing out of my eye.
And Joe's got a tip for you: cloth hankies. She says, verified mother.
Joe, I do appreciate it. I'll give it a shot. But I wonder if after you've blown your nose 300 times in a week, does it matter whether or not what it's with? I think at some point.
300 times. Fact check yourself, brother.
It's been rough. Anyway, I do have to dip just a few minutes early today. We are showing the house twice back to back. Although one of them is a second showing for someone, so pray.
They needed to see it again.
So keep all of our fingers crossed. Maybe collectively, if all of us cross our fingers at the same time, somewhere around 10 a.m. Eastern time, that'd be great.
It has nothing to do with crypto, but
No.
You don't know how tempted I am to include Alex's house gets a second date in the title of this episode. I just feel like that's so great. Such a good title,
I mean, might as well.
Yeah. Hello again to all of our friends who are just joining us. Shout out to Bearded, who asked, is Doug joining you? And now the cats and cows and dogs and ponies are out of the bag. Yes, in fact, we will have our friend Doug, a.k.a. Von, joining the show shortly. Will is taking a little breather today. He and Doug were live last night for Market Watch, and he is going to be live, William Watson himself, in the Circle community later today. Oh, not today. He's starting next week, office hours. Everybody is just migrating over. We've got our new communities forever home, and we would love to see you there, where we'll be hosting office hours. I will be hosting office hours. When Alex's house has finally found its forever partner, he will be hosting office hours. The only thing missing is you. You can get the links right at the top of our website, rumshq.com. I had a question this morning from somebody who is a premium member over on Patreon, and they said, hey, Evan, I'm here in Circle. It's our friend Philip. How do I resume my premium membership? The good news is it's going to drop you in a channel that says start here when you arrive, and that is going to give you every step-by-step instruction, even the instructions for how to get a hold of me, like Philip, if you can't quite find the answer you're looking for. So Philip, hold tight, sir. We're coming. Everybody else, if you've got a question about that, we will take care of you. We'll get you over there. It's a great place. We've already had some killer conversations, live events. The only thing missing is you. We always say it, and it's true. Now, before Doug gets here, Alex told me that he wanted to do a little bit of ranting this morning. That wasn't exactly how he said it, but it's how I interpreted it. And I said, as long as it's not about the tax app, you can have the floor.
Surprise, motherfucker.
No. So what's on your mind, Alex?
Well, it wasn't the tax app until you said that.
Until I said that. Can I now I do need a little micro update. Like, what have we got since the last time? Does it have wings now?
Now it presses your pants for you. No, it's I haven't done a whole lot actually. I was working on a couple little bugs with the CSV upload because Jessica was of course, which is great. It was funny. I was a complete oversight on my part. I never actually tried to upload anything to it, so she did and she broke it.
Awesome.
So I've been working on that. Yeah, so it was great. She sent me all the error messages, which makes it really easy to work through. So working on that. But no, the rant honestly wasn't even really a rant. It was more of a PSA. But maybe Evan just wants me to get more angry. I am a big fan of this. I'm really not that upset about it. But I'm sure, as you'll notice, if you guys have been tootling around social media at all lately, there's definitely an increase of prepare yourself, don't screw this up, the bull run's about to start, which we've been seeing an iteration of that for the last year from all of these people.
Yeah.
No context, nothing other than, hey, don't be stupid, follow me to prosperity. And don't mess this up. A generational run is about to begin. And then sometimes things go up like 5% the next day, and they're like, "I told you," and then it crashes again. They're like, "This is where you build your." Okay, maybe I can turn this into a rant. It's the same. That TikTok trend of the guy who's like doing something with his hands, and people keep putting it over like doing a frustrating task, and he's just like trying something and it slips and he like pokes himself and he's like, "Oh, same shit, different day." That's how I feel. That's me whenever I see like a creator offer no value in a video and just tell you that the bull run's about to start, don't mess this up, follow me to prosperity type of nonsense. Yeah. It's so useless. Yeah. And we get it. You're your own biggest fan and I'm happy for you. Good for you, little buddy. But anyway, just in case something does happen, whenever you see those videos, I always like to say, okay, let's say for a second that it is about to start. Like, what if something big did happen? What if something big did happen and I did not have a plan until the thing happened? And now I'm staring down the barrel of the big thing. Clip that, I guess.
Yeah, that's a competing title for Alex's House Gets a Second Date. Staring down the barrel of the big thing.
And you realize you have no plan. So whenever that happens, given that like I'm not currently looking down the barrel, I like to come up with a plan in that moment. And honestly, that's a great chance to plug the tax app because there's the little profit taking slider. But really all that means is just like evaluate your positions, look at what you own, and come up with some sort of hard rule that you would set for yourself. Wherein, like, hey, I've got a take profit level that's up 15% from here. If we do that, I will sell at least something. Or you could even, what I usually do is if I see a ton of like hypey posts like that offer no context, nothing, and I'm like, okay, if I see a bunch of these and something does happen, I know that at least the people who are making the videos are probably going to sell something. So it's safe to say that if you get some sort of push, it will chill for at least a second. And so in that moment, I always want to take advantage of it a little bit. I always want to try to take advantage of the volatility as much as possible, even if it's not as much. If it's a move that feels like it was egged on, if it feels like there's some sort of hype around it, I try to take the, buy the rumor, sell the news, even when there's not really a rumor and there's not really any news specifically, but it's just kind of one of those days where it just kind of arbitrarily everything is up 10%. I want to at least capitalize on that. It doesn't have to be much. Like if you had 20 SOL sell 2 of them. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be a ton. And a lot of that is not about the dollar amount. One of the things I used to do to myself that would prevent me from taking any profit is like just kind of bully myself about the amount, because I don't have very much. So I was like, okay, if I sold this for profit, it's only going to make me $50 of profit because I just bought it not that long ago and it's up right now and whatever. And so it's not worth it. And then I had to like stop and think, okay, $50 is worth it. Like, I'm sorry, it just is. If the transaction fee for the transaction is a third of a penny, making $50 feels okay.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe it's a little bit more, maybe it's whatever. And the line can be wherever you want it. There's no wrong answer. So at the end of the day, all of this yapping really just to say, have a plan and stick to it, and make your first instance of plan sticking to easy to follow. And that kind of helps build that muscle memory of actually taking advantage of volatility, because this stuff's going to be up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, no matter how high or no matter how low, for as long as we can foresee the safe future. And all I know is that on days when everything is green and I'm in the green, I would like to cement a little bit of it to make the stablecoin bag a little bit bigger, anticipating that at some point we're going to have a cool off and everyone's going to be like, oh, I told you, you can't have a generational run without a cool down. This was inevitable, even though I never mentioned it. And I was just like, you want to be prepared for that thing because it is inevitable. So
inevitable. That's actually really good advice. I especially like the part about if somebody is coming to you with that, they are about to sell something or they're anticipating a moment where they can. But I think it's important to remember that a lot of these people that you're listening to online are trying to figure it out also. That they may have an 8-ball, but they probably don't have a crystal ball. And I've seen a lot of videos lately about folks. There was a really great one from our friend Tom, the Bitcoin appraiser, where he talked about going through his third full crypto cycle, what it was like for him in 2017 as he was just starting to get his bearings on these assets we know and love, and how he round tripped that time because he didn't know when to sell. He didn't have a plan. He really was just kind of watching and learning. And then in 2021, 2022, he had a plan. He knew what it was. He made some money and it went well for him, but there were still lots of things he didn't anticipate, things that were different from the first time. And this time he says he feels more confident than ever about his own plan and his own ability to navigate and get good information, but he's just as uncertain about what will happen. And I see a lot of videos like that from a lot of people who say it's easy to figure out what you're doing, but hard to figure out what everything else is going to do. You know what I mean? You're not alone in that. Always a red flag, I think, though, to take with a grain of salt when somebody says they're certain about what's going to happen. You know, I love hearing people's arguments, and I love when people are convicted and can tell me reason A, reason B, reason C, reason D. Here's a verifiable piece of evidence. Here's a stat. Here's a data point. Here's a historical example. I love that.
Yeah, and you're right, Evan. Now that you mention it, all of the videos where someone has told me not to be a wuss and don't screw this up because generational wealth is right around the corner and the bull run's about to start, they always do include several pieces of empirical data and a couple comparison points, the counter argument, reasons for their conviction, historical references, some data, some amusing anecdotes. It's always in there. It's never just empty, shilling nonsense bullshit.
It's the perfect time to buy.
Yeah, I've seen those videos. Those
You're right.
Videos.
The beautiful utopian video that you just described would be really nice if it existed.
Yeah.
Really quick, just because I saw the comment from Rebel, and every time this comes through, we have to say it because this is the new scam. Do not connect anything you own to anything calling itself Web3 anything. The new scam on the block is your such and such is not safe. You need to connect it to Web3. In this case, your Arculus. It's fine. You do not need to connect anything to Web3. Web3 is not real. There is no such thing as Web3. It is a marketing term used to describe this entire industry and everything in it.
There is the thing that is Web3, but it's like the
an
internet.
Idea. It's a collection of stuff that kind of belongs to this blockchain, crypto, decentralized, DeFi, semi-centralized, whatever world. There is no like protocol called Web3. There is no platform called Web3. There's no service called Web3. There is nothing specific to connect to called Web3. If something is called or calling itself Web3, and it's like, hey, connect your wallet to this, that is just step one of probably several to steal whatever's on that wallet. So please be careful. Yes. Please don't listen to, if anyone is trying to convince you that your stuff is not safe, so you need to do X, Y, Z. That's got to be one of the most classic setups to steal your information is, hey, such and such is not safe. Do this quick to protect it. And if urgency. Do this quick to protect it is anything other than, you know, I don't know, trying to think of one example where maybe that wouldn't be a scam. Your seed phrase is on a sticky note on your desktop, right. And someone's like, stop, that's not safe. Put that in a box somewhere and close the lid. There you go. But right. Like, you know, don't connect your wallet to stuff. And QFS is another big one. Like you don't have to connect anything to the quantum financial system. That's not real. That's a scam. There's a bunch of scams. Assume everything is a scam. I'm constantly trying to boil down like scam prevention to the smallest bumper sticker possible. Yeah. Just assume it's all a scam until you know for sure that it's not, and verify in more than one place. And this is a great place to bring it up and ask, because we've been here for a long time. We've seen a lot of scams.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it too, because they often rhyme. They look very similar, the same kind of signs, patterns, relationships. And it can be difficult. These scams are sophisticated to know that unless you've got a little precedent, a little context. So that's why you always hear us say, you should get into a community. You should get into a group of friends who also use cryptocurrency. We try to give you a lot of different touch points, but there are many good ones out there, and all of them are going to help you to learn. It's not, Will sometimes says this. I was thinking about this yesterday. I really like when Will says, we want to help you become a more self-sufficient investor. But I also was thinking to myself, you know what we also want to do? We don't want to make you a one man or woman or person army. What we want is to give you the relationships that you can count on when yourself meets its limit. You know, it's not about being an island and being the strongest or the only one. It's about having people when you don't know that you can trust, really trust, to help you or to motivate you to keep learning when it's hard, you know, to give you guff about your tax app, to try it out for you. And that's a key part of it.
It's about working with someone for so long that you can bully them into looking at your tax app for the 88 millionth time. Totally
for free.
No, I would completely agree with that. I think for me, my ultimate goal for everybody in the group, everyone in the space community, is that you get to a point where you feel completely self-sufficient and confident, and you're like, you know that you still have something to learn, because we always have something to learn. Your learning journey is never over. I don't care how long you've been teaching, doing whatever. There's always something else you can learn. But then you transition from that into someone who's able to provide that feedback for someone else now entering down the line. So you can become self-sufficient. You can grow to the point where you don't need the same level of hand-holding or feedbacking, but then you can provide that for somebody else who at that point is brand new.
2 thoughts, 1 question. Shout out to our friend Tori, who says, you're my crypto friends. Is that sad? And says, IRL, I don't talk about crypto, to be honest. And
you should start. It's interesting.
I do think it's fun. It often reminds me of church. Like I grew up mostly in like an evangelical Christian context. And I remember there was a lot of like in-group, a lot of ritual that we didn't really share with the world, although we were always talking about sharing it with the world. And it reminds me a lot of like the onboarding conversation. Anyway, I don't want to get down that rabbit hole, because somebody listening for the first time is going to be like, I knew it. Crypto is a cult. We talk about crypto with other people.
I mean, kind of though. Like if we're being honest, it's kind of culty.
It's kind of a lot of it is really culty. But I like to talk
real culty.
I like to talk to people about it because it's fun.
You learn something every time.
I learn something every time, and it's fun to be able to engage with what people think about it. It makes me better at my job. But honestly, because I do it so much, I don't, and because if you're having the crypto talk for the first time, if somebody says to me, Evan, I saw your show, so should I buy Bitcoin? I'm always like, listen, we need about an hour to have this conversation. You know what I mean? But for now,
have a good day.
Go buy it. Yeah. I don't know.
It depends how it comes up though, because like you're completely right. I could walk up to people on the street and say like, do you have a minute to talk about our Lord and Savior Bitcoin? Or something like that. And yeah, of course, that would be awful. Or you could do what I do, which is whenever I'm paying anyone for anything, just ask real quick, like, hey, do you take USDC? And then just read that. That's my go-to because it's the easiest thing
Have you heard the good word?
Can I interest you? But no, because you can know right then. One, you have an immediate escape. If it feels like it's going south, immediate escape, you're about to leave. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Second, if they say yes, awesome. Now you have first of all, be prepared to pay in USDC if they say yes, okay? Because it's happened to me twice where they've said yes, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah, which chain? And then you have a really fun conversation, and it's very cool, which is why I keep it on several, just because. But if they say no, then that no is either like a no, I don't know what that is, whatever. And you're like, okay, cool, no worries. Pay with something else. Leave. You're good. Easy peasy. Read the room. It's not a good, nothing culty about it. Like, hey, do you take USDC? Sometimes it's, no, what is that? Then it's a, it's a payment thing. It's this payment app. No, I use it for my business because there's no vendor fees. That's usually where, if someone asks me like, what is that? That's usually what I say.
Yeah.
How does that work? And then it snowballs from there. I mean, if you can put someone in the position where they're asking you a question, everything about it is easier. And I mean, don't over deliver. Don't make it weird. Don't like, well, and then, you got to hear about Ethereum, and then you got to hear about this, and you got to do this, and you got to do that, and you got to mint this and do this and whatever. It's just, or a PO app. Like, if we're doing like, collectible stuff, whatever, or if I'm like, when I was at the my local game store, because it's where I get Magic cards, I've given that dude a couple PO apps because it's cool, and I know he's a collector, and he doesn't need any more of an explanation other than like, it's something you can collect. He's sold. And he doesn't have a wallet or do whatever. He just has the account, and we do the PO app and whatever, and it's cool. And that's it. It doesn't have to be ridiculous. It doesn't have to be the cringiest thing ever. It can be like a one-line question that and I think that's the way that it has to go. It doesn't have to be this fucking weird shit. What are you smiling at?
I'm just smiling at all the comments. Bearded said, I step away from the computer for 2 minutes and come back to church. I expected Evan to have his shirt off and be reading the scriptures. And Tori said, did you bring your tithe, Bearded? You can make it out to Tori. And then she gets her Bates address. Missed opportunity.
Someone told me once, I don't know who they were. It was just like, they left a comment on one of my videos, and they were just like, tell Evan to put a shirt on.
It is so hot here.
I've gotten that comment once. Evan, I live in Georgia. Okay, I know it's hot. I've gotten that comment a couple of times, and I'm always just like,
I always have a shirt on for the show. In case somebody discovers us for the first time that way. And when I do work, that's not with Alex.
Like, you know what?
Took a meeting yesterday with Gauntlet, had a shirt on. Thank you very much. When
the meeting is serious when Evan is wearing a shirt, not doing push-ups, not eating, not holding a 5-gallon jug of water.
It's the practices of the Church of Crypto. That's how we are. We have a really good question I want to get to.
I think that's just a you thing. Don't put that on us.
It is totally a me thing. But that's what I love about crypto is, and working in an internet first place, is the relationship is everything. People they don't know how to put you in a container because you don't have an office that you go to. You don't have a particular type of job that you do that relies on, wearing a fireman's coat or something like that. So it gives you a lot of freedom to bring your full identity. Our friend Evan McMullen, who I pray to God is going to make it this Wednesday. We're hoping.
One day.
Often says your whole selves. You are a multifaceted life of the party. And your identity is not something that should have to be in a container that doesn't fit. In real life, you show up how you show up. Online, it should be the same. We should have the tools to help us do that. One last thing I want to say about the crypto conversation, if you're evangelizing someone, I find it's really helpful Alex, you do this all the time. You lead with the skepticism. And I find it's really helpful to just, if somebody asks me about it or somebody mentions it or we're talking about it, not to say like, yeah, crypto's going to, like change the world. It's going to fix everything. What I end up saying is it's already changed the world. And I try to say it like that too. I tell people like, the sky is blue. Crypto's changed the world. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to save the world, but it's like electricity or ChatGPT or the invention of language. The world is different now that it's here, and it will affect pretty much everything. So we should be prepared for it. And that usually lets people, that's like an appropriate amount of like, that sounds important. I'm really intrigued. I don't have to show them a chart. I don't risk boring them. I don't risk scaring them. I let them know I'm totally a normal guy, mostly. and then if they want to talk about it more, then we can. Alex, they got questions for us in the chat. And one of these questions is a good one, at
CPI?
Least. No, not about CPI yet. I haven't seen that yet, but we will give CPI numbers in just a minute. Oh, Jeff, he said, give it to us. The question I want you to answer while I pull that up, all the comments, the beta hits different when Evan is in uniform, is where do I keep my crypto? What's the best place for me to keep it? And can you address in that answer where crypto actually lives? The distinction. And and this person was asking specifically about like, is a trust okay? So you might even touch on something like a multisig, or if you're a corporate person, can you take care of that? And let me pray for me. I'm going to pull up the CPI.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's a big question. Okay, where do you keep it? The short answer is the crypto itself. Let's just say Ethereum, just for the sake of conversation. It always stays in the same place, no matter who has what access to how much of it. It all lives on chain. So there's this ethereal thing called the blockchain, and that's where the crypto lives. What changes is where the private keys, which are like special passwords that give you permission to move crypto, gives you permission. It's the thing that you use to prove that you have the authority to do something with the crypto in question. That is what you can encrypt in different places. And the level of encryption kind of determines its security. So you think of it kind of like levels. There's something like Kraken, a centralized exchange where you can just have an account and store your crypto there. I put that in quotes for people in podcast land because, as I just said, your crypto is not really there. And go about your business, and it's just like having a checking account. And that company is in control of it, and if they screw it up, it's their fault. And you're kind of a victim of circumstance in that sense. But it's very low maintenance. It's very convenient. That's usually why you would make the trade-off. You trade off, like some autonomy, sovereignty, and security for the convenience of having, and maybe their security is better than yours. Maybe you don't trust yourself to not lose the passwords and stuff, so you can keep it there. Fine option. Next level would be your own wallet. We would call it a hot wallet, meaning one connected to the internet. It's usually software. Could be an app on your phone, could be a desktop app, could be a browser extension. And that would be something wherein you do have the control, more of it than you do with a centralized exchange. You are the custodian. You are entrusted with your own passwords, your own recovery phrase. There's a whole lot of depth we could go into in that, which feels like overkill for this particular answer. But you can do that. The risks there include connecting it to a malicious website, having spyware on your computer, leaving your phone laying around somewhere with it already unlocked or whatever, having a really crappy PIN code or something, whatever. So you're susceptible then to how good your internet security is. But you have some more control, some more ownership, some more autonomy there. That's usually where you would keep crypto if you wanted to experiment with different DeFi protocols, connect to this platform, that platform, mint this, stake this, trade this, swap this, whatever. Next would be probably a cold wallet, which is usually a hardware device that is not connected to the internet. Think of it like a really fancy USB drive. So that device is then the thing that holds and encrypts your private keys, the special passwords to give you permission to move the crypto. And there's a number of options there. Lots of very good reputable companies that have good track records that you can look into. Trezor, Ledger, Arculus, Elipal, Tangem. I don't know. There's more. With those, they don't all necessarily allow you to custody every single crypto. So I would first look, what am I trying to hold? Does this wallet that I'm looking at support it? If yes, does the company have a good reputation? If yes, where can I get one? Good rules of thumb there, buy them from the authorized manufacturer or the official manufacturer or an authorized retailer as described by the manufacturer. Example there would be that Ledger specifically authorizes Amazon. They have an Amazon store, and also Best Buy carries Ledger products. Not every store, but some of them. Those are fine. You can see them on the main Ledger website. They tell you whatever. Same tamper seal, all that good stuff. Arculus sells on TikTok. They are the only ones with a TikTok shop, so you can do that. So on and so forth. Important thing there is, again, the device itself is not connected to the internet. The crypto itself there is not, or the keys themselves are not living on the internet. They're living offline in a secure, encrypted device. The security of which is, again, dependent on you and your OPSEC. I could have the world's most secure cold wallet of all time, and it's never connected to anything bad, and it lives in a double-locked, fireproof safe behind layers of all sorts of other security in a vault in my house, or buried deep underground, protected by goblins in a bank with dragons.
That would be interesting.
And I could write the seed phrase on a sticky note and put it on my desk, and none of that would matter because whoever saw that sticky note could simply upload it into a new device and take everything. So the device itself doesn't matter as much. And again, you can go down a big old rabbit hole on all the nuances there, but that's kind of the general gist. So the short answer would be you can keep it in a wallet or you can keep it on an exchange in an account of some sort. And it's kind of up to you. Depends what you want to hold, what you want to do with it, all that good stuff.
Two clarifying tidbits. The first one is Alex mentioned that your crypto always lives in this ethereal place called the blockchain. I want to tell you just specifically, literally what that is and why there's a confusion around this point. Understandable. I think wallet is a terrible word. I think we would do better to call it a keychain or something like that. But just because your wallet, your key is offline, your crypto is always online. It doesn't physically exist. And the only place it lives is on the blockchain, which is actually an analog, though sometimes digital place. Alex compares it to a magic notebook. I sometimes call it like a shared checkbook. In that sense, it is literally a ledger. It starts off with some information about units of data called tokens. For example, there is a token. It is called Bitcoin. There are 21 million of them. This is how it moves. When it moves, there is a gas fee assigned. And there is also, we call this, there's a process by which transactions of information called Bitcoin are linked to each other. We don't have to go into it in too much detail now, except to say that this is where we get the name blockchain. The transactions, they are linked to the preceding ones in chronological order, chained together, so to speak. And they are formatted into pages, groups called blocks. And any person can participate in a blockchain network. That's like one part. There's a blockchain, which is the concept, the physical, infrastructure of transactions being linked to each other. There's a blockchain network, which is like all the different computers who maintain a copy of this ledger that anybody in a decentralized network can choose to participate in. You might call them nodes. Some of them in certain networks are called validators. Some of them in certain networks are miners. These are people who actually do the work of receiving transactions people submit and broadcast them to the other computers running the ledger and update them if there is a consensus. This is not a manual task like dropping off a check at your bank and having a teller verify it. This is all facilitated autonomously by the computers. People set up their computers to do this. They make sure they're connected to the internet, connected to power, and that the electric bill is paid. But then these computers autonomously run, we call them protocols. Bitcoin is the name of that blockchain, that ledger of transactions, but it is also the name of a protocol, a piece of computer code that operates on the machines that add transactions to the Bitcoin network. That is the blockchain. When I send crypto to Alex, what happens is I am broadcasting a transaction to one of these many computers that maintain the Bitcoin network and requesting to reassign ownership of Bitcoin my private key owns to Alex's private key. I use a public address for Alex, but the blockchain will know that that public address is tied to his private key. It uses cryptography. That's where the crypto and cryptocurrency comes from. Public and private keys are just encrypted bits of information that allow me and Alex to be able to communicate about things we own without having to know each other or trust each other at all, or trust the machine operators at all. Because of the way all the machines can talk to each other, they can keep each other honest about the previous record of transactions. If I was to submit a transaction that was like, I'd like to send 100 million Bitcoin, every single computer has the capacity to see the whole record of transactions and will know in an instant, oh, Evan, he's not 100 millionaire. He's not even a millionaire. You know what I mean? It's going to know and it's going to reject it instantly. If for some reason I was able to obscure the truth from a majority of those computers, then maybe I could submit the transaction, but somebody somewhere at any time, any of those computers would be able to say, wait a second, hey, there's a new transaction that just got broadcast that has no record for it. It's like trying to steal from a bank vault that doesn't physically exist, but it is represented by 10,000 computers that can all talk to each other. It's highly secure. It's difficult to grasp, but that is why even if your private key is offline, your crypto is always changing value with the market. It doesn't need to be stored as long as one of those computers is operating and online. I think that's plenty to be going along with.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's also a good time to bring in our friend Doug. I'm going to do that before we share the CPI data. The cat is out of the bag. He's out of the bathroom and into the cafe. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him, you love him. Welcome to the show, Doug.
The cafe. What do you call this cafe?
It looks like a cafe. Is it not a cafe?
It's a shared co-op space, working space.
Okay. It sounds like a pleasant time. And
it is nicer than the bathroom. I will definitely say that, without a doubt.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm actually really tired. I was in the trenches very late last night. I slept like shit, but I'm here, so.
Amen.
I'll be honest.
You are a true craftsman, man. You do it for the love of the game. I appreciate that about you. And I'm sorry I didn't get to tune into Market Watch yesterday. I had meant to, and then just a couple things came up, and it sounds like it was a great show, man.
It's just I'm getting vibes of October 2023-ish kind of feeling. So I'm kind of taking that. Not getting ahead of myself, but yeah, things are good right now.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to get caught up on, I saw you talking about it here on different data points. And one of the data points that folks have been asking about, because it's about 15 minutes past the time we got it, is CPI. We're talking about Consumer Price Index. This is a measure of how quickly or slowly things are increasing or decreasing in price relative to how they have increased or decreased in price in the past. And month over month, the changes were in line with expectations. We bumped up 0.2% to get a CPI index of 2.7%. That is slightly faster the last couple of months than it has been in April, May, June. And so investors remain cautious. That's about all I got. Doug, do you have any thoughts on it?
First and foremost, just to check a box for me being right and Mr. Will Watson being wrong. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh.
I actually, even though last night, because I was looking for a hotter, inflation rate here, and Will's looking for either meat or cooler, kidding aside, was in the camp of Will, but I had to take the opposite side just because I gotta.
Sure.
But yeah, and actually I'm looking at markets really quick here, and it seems like they're liking the news, even though it seems like it is somewhat hot, let's say. So I'm trying to gauge what that is now. It's very early. The market hasn't opened yet, so I'll probably get a better gauge on this after 11 a.m. But right now, crypto seems to like it, but we'll see how long this lives for.
I want to see what Polymarket says too, because the question on everyone's mind is what's going to happen with rate cuts? Are we still likely to get them? And hotter than usual inflation can mean that maybe you're going to see a change in decision there about when rate cuts are coming, if they are coming, whether or not we're going to cut the rates. Although I can't seem to find the market on Polymarket. Hold tight.
I would not want to be Powell right now, by the way. I would just be like, I'd quit. I don't know how the guy does it. How any of them do it, honestly, because there's so many. You can only stick to your formula, right? And that's why you have to go about it. And people are gonna hate you either way. That is what it is.
Yep. Well, and of course, the one thing I could imagine is that it's got to be so maddening to be screamed at and hated by people who barely understand what it is that you do.
Everyone's experts now. What are you talking about? Everyone knows everything.
I know. I forgot. Sorry.
Since the start of August on Polymarket, the odds have increased from around 55% likely that we would get a rate cut in September to 80%. And this morning, just now, it ticked up even further. So
Ticked up further. Interesting.
yeah, we're at 80% now, and we have kind of lingered there, but it was a strong bip up. People think they are coming after July inflation data. So interesting. Now
I'm kind of
prices,
sorry.
just minus 400 is the way that they report it.
Got it. I was going to say that I think I'm of the camp of the rest of August and early September until that rate decision, which I think is the 13th. You said last night, may not be fantastic. Maybe we go sideways, and kind of the end of the year, just like 2023, 2024 repeats itself, and kind of send into Christmas, New Year's would be an ideal scenario for me. Because looking at some of the alts, like your overall, like a total 3, it seems like we're a little tired and maybe want to cool off for a little bit. But this thing could also just send here. I mean, where things look good, and I can't really find anything that doesn't look positive from a TA standpoint.
I'm glad to know it, because the last thing I need right now is doom and gloom. There is a meeting between world leaders coming tomorrow in Europe about peace talks in Ukraine. We also have what were my other notes about macro? We have got PPI coming later this week. And here's an interesting tidbit of something that's coming up today that probably won't have a big macro effect, but I did make a note that around 10 a.m. Eastern, several big crypto companies, including Aave, Athena, Mento, are getting together for an X space called the start of stablecoin summer. And calling anything on August 12th the start of summer is pretty bold, if I say so myself. But in light of recent legislative changes, I think it'll be really good to hear more from people in our industry about what they think is going to happen.
Summer is a state of mind.
Summer is a state of mind, and it's still hot here. I'm going to take my shirt off when the show is done, damn it.
It's going to be hot for a minute. Yeah, we was just saying the other day, it's 90, and I feel like, oh, nice. A little cold break.
Now, Alex, I know you've got to go in just a minute, so I want to make sure I get your final thought, your last question, your suggestion, whatever. And if there's a topic you want to explore before you vamoose and give your house a second date,
I've got one, yes.
Let us know.
Yeah, I was going to answer the trust question.
Oh, yeah, the trust question. Thank you.
So the question, in case you were just tuning in, was, is it safe to hold crypto in a trust, or can you hold crypto in a trust? And the short answer is yes. There are lots of different kinds of trusts. I am by no means a trust expert. I would recommend that you read about this from someone who is a trust expert, or talk to one before you do anything. But I can give you kind of a very light general overview on the thing. So there are a couple different kinds of trusts. I have one, actually. I've had it for a very long time. It was set up through a business venture, wherein the business operated with a business trust, and then the owners of the business got their own individual trust, and it has an obscenely long title, irrevocable spendthrift something. There's 18 words in the title.
Your homework is you got to look it up and tell us, because it sounds like worth finding out.
I'll find it in a second. It's in my book down there. Anyway, there are many different kinds. The short answer is yes, you can use a trust to keep lots of different kinds of assets, including cryptocurrency. My like Bitcoin holdings are in my trust. They are like registered or documented as being owned by my trust. There are, however, revocable trusts, irrevocable trusts, dynasty trusts, something called a DAPT, which I've never heard of before, Domestic Asset Protection Trust. This is obviously, or not obviously, this is also a really interesting conversation you can have with like one of the big LLMs, GPT, Claude, Perplexity, something like that, and just kind of be like, overview the different kinds of trusts for me and explain why you might or might not want to use a specific one for something. Can be a good kind of jumping off point. That's what I would do.
What's the process, Alex, of holding crypto in your trust? Do you have like a ledger device that you sent to a bank or something like that?
No, not at all. It's mostly imaginary. It's all just by, it's organized by lots of paperwork, signed and blessed by various accountants. And then there's a process of record keeping. So effectively, what I do is if I do something that is that like I want to have taken place in my trust, I just have to keep very close records of it, and then I submit all of those to the like trust manager, like at tax time. So for cryptocurrency, when the trust was set up, I filled out an initial statement of purchase, which was how many things is the trust like taking ownership of right off the bat. And then, so in that went my house, cars, bank accounts, all that sort of stuff. It was all documented and listed. And then also a wallet address went in there with Bitcoin. And so if that changes, a record of the change has to be produced just to explain what the change was and what happened. Money that like happens inside the confines of the trust is tax deferred, meaning that when I withdraw money from that trust, at that point it is taxed. And so you have to keep very good records of it. Again, I'm not an expert. I would not like take anything I'm saying right now as gospel. It's a jumping off point to start kind of doing some research. It's a good question. And like I said, the short answer is yes, you absolutely can use a trust, and there's a bunch of different kinds.
And I would just add, if you wanted to put crypto in a trust that multiple people controlled, you could use a multi-signature wallet, which is like one device that has multiple private keys. So for example, we might start a multi-signature wallet, me and Alex and Doug, called Keep This Money Away from Will. And Will would ask me for the key, and he would, hit me over the head with a blue banana, and I would give him my key. But he couldn't break into our multi-signature wallet because he would need multiple signatures that had been shared with multiple, we would call them signers.
It's like the thing, where two people have to put the key in the different keyholes at the same time and turn them at the same time and do the thing, whatever. It's that, but digital.
It's like a superhero movie.
Yes.
Okay, Alex, do you have a final thought for us before you take your house on your hopefully forever date?
No.
Just staring down the barrel of a big thing?
Yep, sure is. Doug, appreciate you hopping in. I guess one quick clarifier for Lucian, are we now putting crypto into trust? No, you don't have to. It was just someone asking if you could. And so the answer was yes, you can. I guess my final thought would be, like I said in the beginning, I'll double down. If in fact we are about to see anything interesting or substantive or significant in markets, whether it's a move up or down, come up with a plan ahead of time and then do your best to stick to the plan. And I say do your best because it would be disingenuous for me to say anything other than I have broken my own rules. And actually, me breaking my own rules is the thing that most significantly led to my downfall last bull run, where I round tripped pretty hard because I was like, no, I made these rules and now I know more and now I'm better and now it's time to deviate from the plan. And then I did deviate from the plan, didn't take any profits and regretted it. So come up with a plan and stick to it. And Godspeed.
Beautiful. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Alex Popovich. We'll catch you a little later, brother.
Bye-bye.
Well, bye-bye.
Oh, we're
right.
we're pumping here. What's going on?
We're pumping up. Let me say hey to all of our folks who are joining live, whether you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, especially if you're seeing us for the first time or you're listening somewhere in the future. Hello. We hope your candles are green. I want to encourage you, if you're liking what you hear, to check out the other shows we do. We're live Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. We're live Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for Rise Up After Dark. And then Mondays, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, we got Market Watch. Doug and Will unpack all the macro trends that make the markets work, and the place the show lives 24/7. If you tap our profiles wherever you are, whenever you listen, you can find a link that will take you to the Rise Up Morning Show. rumshq.com, RUMSHQ. And then once you get there, you can find all the other links to listen on your favorite socials. You can find the guides we've written. You can find our free to join educational community. It's a great place to learn with others 24/7, even when the show is off the air. I often say the only thing missing is you. We'd love to see you there. So, Doug, we're getting the note that ETH is 4,400. I'm feeling pretty good.
I'll pull my screen up here real quick. Does that work? Let's do that.
Yeah. Do it. And I'll hit you with the screen share. Eamon was saying we loved the Pump It Up music on the stream last night, and Bearded said, yeah, it was great. Did you guys pump it up?
We did. We talked about Pump It Up. I was gonna make a request towards the end, but Will was doing. We were closing. I want to pump it up at the end of every stream, the end of every show. I want Pump It Up just going, because I want to bring it back, because why not? It reminds you of 2021. It was like, always. Oh, actually, no, I'll tell you real quick, because you missed it last night. One of the best things back at NFT days, I would say, and thing for fun. I was lucky early on to get some Solana NFTs, SMBs, and I was in their Discord. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And like, they played that music all the time. I was in one of their lives with the VCs, and Steve Aoki just showed up. He was there. He's like, oh, I'm like, okay. It was fun. So like that every time I hear Pump It Up, I think of that day, and I'm like, bring me back to a time when things were fun in crypto. But yeah, I digress. It's good stuff. Hold on here. I've never shared from this computer before. It's going to give me a hard time or not.
That's okay. I've got a note on my pad here. Got to pump it up. I will make sure we get that sound so that there is a bumper that we can play. I cannot believe we haven't had it before. Pump it up for the soundboard. And if you've got a crypto question, a suggestion, a good joke, a word of wisdom, something you'd like to share with the class, then this is your place for it. We'd be glad to hear from you. And if you don't have time, your question doesn't get answered live on the air, that is the best place for it, is the Rise Up community. We are having
Comedy Gold. Sorry, Comedy Gold. She says in chat here, it's like Comedy Gold. I'm like, try.
It is like Comedy Gold, yeah.
Just me. Screen share's not working, by the way, because I've never used this browser before, so I gotta exit out to come back in. So
let me ask you this: what could I share on my screen to at least make it passable? Are you looking at ETH chart?
I mean, I'm just looking at ETH on a lower time frame, and I guess the main thing I'd want to call out is you just want ETH at this point to stay above like 42.50 and just chill. Like, we just did a nice impulse up, fresh new highs for the month, and the longer it could stay up here, the better chance of pushing up a little higher. So I mean, this is a great move. I'm just weary or cautious. Like, so this is not a time to FOMO, let's put it that way. I'm cautious because of the CPI print not being favorable, let's say, and markets are reacting in a positive way. So I would think the opposite reaction would have happened. So I'm almost leaning towards, is this a mini early, trap for the morning once the market's open? But yeah, see, we just pumped up there. And
this is the 5-day chart, by the way. I don't know if that's short enough for you.
It's a 5-day chart. You can even zoom in, go to I would say go to your like a 1 hour chart even, or 15-minute chart. Only because the move that just happened. 15 minutes probably the best.
I think this is 15.
Okay, yeah, you're good. Okay, you're good. Yeah, you're good. Think? You're good there. Yeah, you're good there. Yeah. Okay. So
I thought you were like waiting for me to draw a line or something. I'm like, Doug, this is where my powers end.
No, we're good. So fresh highs. When I say fresh highs, we just took out all the highs that you see to the left there. So we're in this new area of like of white territory where it's just like open air. And the goal now is to stay above 42.50, which is kind of below those lows, like kind of where, like right there. So ideally we just stay up above 43.25 and maybe go sideways for an hour or two, like early today. And at that point, then just waiting to secure, almost like you can look at charts as levels. If you're really someone new to trading and charting, it's just look for like where those key levels are. And anytime there's a move up into that next zone, the goal is to basically see, does price deserve to stay there? And then, consolidate, kind of go sideways maybe, and then, hey, let's level up again. So it's almost like, think about it like refueling. But the scenario with it, the unfavorable scenario is that once it moves up into that area and then immediately comes back down, that was a false breakout. So we don't want to see that. So right now, that's what I'll be watching for the next 3 hours at least, going into the New York Stock Open, which is in 30 minutes. And usually around 11 a.m.-ish is probably the time I would consider looking at a new trade, because by then, your early day traders and folks have gotten out of the market and done their thing, and you get better feel for what the market actually is, because the first 30 minutes is usually just misinformation. I'll put it that way. It's not clear. There's a lot of nonsense going on just because of folks who trade daily. But yeah, so things look good.
Look at the confidence and the strength of this big old candle here.
Oh, it's great.
Look at that. Pew. That's that's $100 candle right there.
So then I look at like a soul though. I wish I could pull my screen up. Can I drop it real quick, come back on? Would that work? I know how much time we got left here. Take 2 seconds if I jumped out of stream.
Yeah. Go ahead, give it a try. Don't forget.
Do that. We'll do it real quick.
And I will answer a question or two while you do. I did see a couple of questions in the comments. Are we singing Pump It Up again? Yes. always we're singing Pump It Up. And where did it go? Can AERO go past $1.50 this week? In a world where anything could happen, the answer, my friends, is...
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, there's definitely a chance. Ken Chisholm says, I'm raising my hand. So Ken, if you've got a question, let me just know what your question is, and then your raised hand will be honored. Let me see what I can find about AERO while we're talking about this. If you have a question about the price of a crypto token, about where it's moving, then honestly, your best bet is to take a quick break from the show and go to Google, because especially if you're listening in the future, whatever I say is going to have little to do with what the price is right now. It looks like AERO is $1.17 per CoinGecko. It also looks like it's been showing some interesting, strong upward momentum, but I got to say, if you're in the profit right now, it might be a good time to do it. It's just made its time. It's just returned to $1 billion of market cap, which doesn't go as far as it used to with the token that's gotten heavier over time. But I would defer to Will and Doug about price predictions based on the shape of that chart. But if momentum continues, sure, it could hit $1.50. I would have a plan, and if you were in profit, I would consider taking some to de-risk in case it dips. Or if you're feeling convicted about it, I'd be ready to, if that was your target, think about exiting even a little sooner than that. 150 has been a strong psychological number for it in the past, but it hasn't touched it much. It has gone close to it or beyond it. Interesting.
Pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. I was singing it in sleep last night. Yeah. Can you see my screen? Is it working?
Yeah, I got you now, brother. Here it comes.
Sweet. And I'll just do AERO really quick. So you're talking about it.
I love it.
The reason I want to show AERO is because these are the types of, and I wish I was paying attention. Too many things going on though. My favorite setup all time in general, and it's very easy for new traders. And this is a 4-hour chart. So here's a downtrend, clearly going down to the right. So
lower highs and lower lows.
Yep. And we have a key level here, which is 78 cents, which I've identified as a key level from looking at higher time frames. So the best place to look for a trade and to wait, you don't have to worry about is once you get this break and you see this move and it sits here and then it does that. So this here, you're looking for confirmation that it actually wants to go higher. So I'm going to play this out right now. I'm going to show you what it looks like really quick. Let's see here. I can't see my screen. Oh, damn. Play. There we go. Whoa, that did way too fast. But so basically that breakout, this is a 4-hour chart. So you had essentially 8 hours, 12 hours. This is faster than most would move in general to catch this. So at this point now, can't chase. But it was just a really, really nice move from a market that I remember last year was very, very attractive. So love it. Love the aerodrome here. But at this point, you gotta chill for a little bit. If someone wants to enter, I would look for an area down here between like $1.90 if we get that pullback, which you may not. Alternatively, if you do buy up here, you have to be okay with that pullback if it does happen. But as of right now, I'd expect something like that to happen if we get this continuation of broader markets here with looking nice. So there's AERO. I want to touch on Sol really quick here.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Sol is not as, I wrote a note here to myself, will add to Sol long. Let's close this for a minute. So Sol is battling a downtrend. And sorry about that. Here, like say here, it's the same kind of scenario where it's like I want to see Sol get above 180, and it gets above 180, then all of a sudden we can start shooting for the 200s. But as of right now, it just got rejected pretty hard from 182, and that's because ETH has the attention. ETH right now is the stronger market. Sorry, Sol maxis, it is what it is, but we also need ETH to be successful for Sol to be successful in the end. So as of right now, ideally, this either kind of pulls back a little bit into like the 160s and then maybe finds a double bottom here like this and then moves back up to 180. But I'd be watching this. And as of right now, the best news with Sol is that there's no rush to get to a new position, because either we get a bigger pullback down to, the 150, which I really do not think is going to happen unless crypto, takes a big breather. But you can wait for Sol to push through 180 to buy some more Sol. But
yeah, that would be a big breather. But we've been back there as recently as, what is that? Just after July. Looks like it was seems like longer ago than that in my mind. But
sorry, Paul. So look at this. Sorry, I just gotta jump here. This is Hype, another one too. Hyperliquid, which by the way, I have nothing but positive things to say on the user experience and the UI when I was actively using it. But this is kind of the scenario of like, I would say I'm gonna get rid of my squiggles here because they're nasty. Of like a AERO, right? So we broke a downtrend.
Yeah.
And then here's your key level trying to build support here. And now this could do a little bit of nonsense here, which kind of goes sideways a little longer. But then like that's what I'd be looking for. Not that big. Whoa. But this is a really, really nice market. And I candidly missed. I was tracking Hype so closely for a while and I forgot about it. I wish I had bought much lower. But this also is a very a strong market to have exposure to. Outside the fundamentals, I can't speak on that, but I speak on the user experience and the chart. And the chart looks great. So,
Doug, can you look up ENA Athena?
So on this, I saw a note this morning. There was an announcement that came out from, who was it? It was something about private blockchains or companies with blockchains, and the ENA didn't love the news in general, or it's not a positive thing for ENA. I could be just speaking out.
I saw the news that I saw is that ENA has become the sixth yield. It's become the 10th DeFi protocol to achieve a market cap of over $1 billion, and it's become the sixth non-staking protocol to do so. And they're hot for a lot of reasons, but I just was curious to see what they look like, what kind of shapes they're making.
This is a weekly chart. This thing is very, very beautiful. The only thing right now is like we are coming up to resistance right around, let's call it $1, a little below $1. And if I look at back in January, here, this candle, this was where it was pretty painful. And so see this sell-off here, I kind of look for charts where like, where did things go wrong? Like where was it just kind of like fell off a cliff and it's right here. So if you keep that, if you keep the back of your mind, right? Bear with me here, let me pull up a little, so this area here, I'll make this red now. That area is going to be not trouble, but there's an area of hey, be cautious, especially with markets that having moved this much since what? This has been mid-July. We've been up only for about a month. This, I personally be looking for this to blow through and then look for a pullback. And then like that here. Alternatively, if this thing does just continue just to blow up because it is, it could happen, I'd look for a long above 120. I know that sounds crazy where it's like, well, do you want to buy higher than lower? Well, I just need confirmation that key levels are flipped and it's not going to just reject again. Because you have to go into some of these assuming that's going to reject. Like it's almost like being a defensive driver where you're almost assuming that the thing's going to happen, which you don't want to happen. But if it does, make a plan off of that. So this is a great chart otherwise. I think this is going to be fine. But without a doubt, this is going to be fine. If you're telling me the fundamentals and it's got a good value prop overall. I don't know much about the project. I've heard it multiple times, but yeah, this thing, once it gets above $1.20, you don't want to be a buyer. You do not want to be a buyer above $1.20. But yeah, it's a great market.
Yeah, good to know. It's one of the darlings in World Liberty Financial's portfolio. I think they want it because of its ability to issue a stablecoin, and I think a play we've seen from them is not necessarily that they we need more information about what they're going to do, but they own a lot of governance tokens for leading protocols, which if I had the opportunity as a business person to own a bunch of my competitors' stock, for example, in order to vote on what they could or couldn't do, that would be a pretty enticing business proposition for me. You know,
I agree with that. I heard the one guy was on what's it called this morning? He was on CNBC. I just heard someone talking about USD1. What are their USD1? I don't know what their stable coin is.
USDE.
Yeah. All right, let's do this is MORPHO. MORPHO looks nice too. Wow. And MORPHO's got a nice little see, MORPHO's got a spot here. Up. And then we'll end here. MORPHO's at resistance. Can't buy MORPHO here. MORPHO, you want to wait. I know it's one of the tokens early on that Will was talking about. Oh, do I have a meeting right now? I don't know. We'll find it in a minute. I'm seeing notifications pop on my phone.
Okay, fine. But tell us very quickly and then find out and I'll solve for you.
MORPHO here. No, I'm good. So MORPHO above 230 would be the area to look for a long. Alternatively, looks like kind of a double top here. A pullback. It would be kind of actually pretty far pullback like that to $1.50. These are these. Let's put it this way. My overall, just a quick glance here at some of these charts. They're looking healthy. That's the best thing. There's strong candles, a lot of price action, moving the way you want things to move. And with that said, when things really start, I'll stop sharing here. When things really start, cooking and like things are moving overall, I would say that it just becomes easier to trade. It's almost like you can slow things down. I always talk about slowing down the matrix, and my girlfriend I put turtles like all over, like little turtles everywhere to remind myself, like slow. You don't need to look at hourly charts, even 15-minute charts. Like once things are moving and we're really in a nice, alts are moving, you have days to basically decide where you want to enter position and there's so many markets. It's just that. So it's really more of a patience type thing. I know it's easier said than done, but I'm cautiously optimistic on what the next couple of months may bring to start. But it looks great. Everything's good right now.
Okay, I have been a bad steward of the chat because I've had the screen share up so that everybody could see it. But Ken had a really good question here. Kenneth asks, I noticed there are a lot of green candles that shot way up and then they dropped dramatically. Like that $100 candle we saw on ETH, for example, or a lot of those like AERO candles, they're followed by a retracement. Can you speak a little bit about that? Is it somebody, buys it and then sells it right away when their move changes the price? What's causing big candles, and also big candles in the opposite direction? When you see that, what are some reasons?
Great question. So how I look at it, it's almost like I look at it as thinking about different perspectives of people who are in the market. And let's just say, like, I have a friend at work who I found out recently has a significant amount of ETH that he bought like way back, like 20, I don't know, 14, 15. And now he's trying to, he's like, hey, I'm starting to think about taking some profits. And we're talking about setting limit orders, like limit sell orders, where you're having target price points where liquidity, where you want to set, and you're talking between 4,000 and 6,000, wherever it may be, spread it out over every $250. The reason I'm bringing this up is that individual hasn't made one trade in like a decade. So essentially, when this move happens like that, like a big candle up, you see the thing coming back. That's because he could be one that was basically offloading some ETH that's up there. So it's more or less a balance of folks who have gotten into markets at different times, also ones who are FOMOing on the other side of the equation, where someone's like this morning, it's like, hey, I found this thing Ethereum, I never heard of blockchain before. I came on the Rise Up morning show and I'm like, yo, this seems like a good thing. I'm gonna just ape into ETH. No one's advocating to do that, but they just did. And like, I got 50 grand sitting around. That'd be nice. They're part of the bigger candle. So like, there's many different ways to look at it. It's just that participation in markets and different types of buyers and sellers is really what creates markets overall. So I know it's kind of a generic answer, but it's that some sort of like, oh, why is anyone selling it here? Well, this person's been holding for a decade. I'm like, hey, I want to take some profits. And a month and a half ago, I was sad because it was down to ETH was what, 1,800, 1,900. Like, sure. So it's a mind game. It's all about psychology trading.
And alternatively, it could be small moves. It could be something like CPI comes out. Rates get cut, and many participants in the market who may not be, whales, they move together in unison, not necessarily coordinated, but they happen to move together. And then maybe there's a bot on the other side of that trade, or waiting to deploy some capital, or somebody is watching the terminal and they're a whale and they're waiting to buy the dip, or they're waiting to sell the top. It's super responsive. And it is an aggregate of like, I don't know, Doug, how many trades are happening in any given market at any given time. But like, you know, on the small end in crypto, we're maybe moving a small end for a big altcoin. We're moving millions of dollars in volume, probably an hour. Some of them move billions of dollars a day. So it's a lot of trades.
And also too, now it becomes easier and easier for people to use bots. Like just I could use a bot. I could use a trading bot. I use ChatGPT to create a bot. So it's looking for areas of where, hey, it makes sense to take profits or it makes sense to add. So, and I saw a metric a while ago, and I don't want to throw it out there because I need to fact check myself. But there are many areas where the majority of participants in a market, and when I say a market, I'm saying like ETH is a market, could be majority bots. That just is what it is. Like that's just what people, and eventually it's like, well, hey, if I can use an AI and it's going to be 75% accurate, I'm going to do that. I'm not, because that's too easy. Why would you want to cheat? Just do it yourself and lose. So anyway, because you're not going to get better. But no, I digress. Kidding aside, it's like so as we progress with technology that way too, you're going to see more of that happening, which I'm really interested in, because I'm like, hey, if everyone's doing the same thing, is there opportunity to do something different? So it's really a changing of how markets move over time as technology advances and as new players enter the arena that is crypto.
Yeah. And asking about market manipulation, Kenneth said, is it possible that people are trying to manipulate the coin? And the answer is certainly yes, but the question becomes, who is they? Like, I don't really think there's a super coordinated group. BlackRock doesn't have a telephone. There's not like one person named BlackRock who gets on a telephone and calls Athena and calls Athena calls Bloomberg and whatever. It's not like a game of telephone like that. But there are definitely large movers who are looking at where liquidity exists and have the capacity to move the market in that direction to win a favorable trade, whether that's upward or downward. And I'd be curious to hear you elaborate on that if it's something you're thinking about. I think often about liquidation and where pockets of liquidity exist. I struggle to explain that well to people. Remind
me later. I want to add a passage into the Circle, the Reset community, on Anna Cooling. She was one of the books I read a long time ago. I don't read many books anymore. I wish I did. Was around volume price analysis, and she gave a good analogy, or was a quote, I think, from Buffett, a story on understanding the two different sides of a trade, like the buyers and sellers, the market makers. It's like, so when I say that, I try to think of, if I was the person with the dial and like I can move the price where I want, that would mess with everyone's head as much as possible, what would I do? So I constantly think about it from the other side, not from my side, and try to use that as as a gauge. When I say that about manipulation, everything in general is manipulated in some way or the other. It just is what it is. But I will say, in your small, and I agree with your point there, Evan, the bigger markets, not so much anymore, because there's just too much, there's too many people. The coordination of that would be extremely difficult. Now, some aspects, sure, like on a lower time frame, but higher time frames, not so much. But smaller markets, like these ones that we want to get into, especially meme coins and things like that, there are very much so manipulation happening from even now single players, where it's like, I know people who, can lease market making bots to basically make markets, and their whole goal is to basically extract as much capital as possible from the people who are like us, who are retail traders who are there. So it's just a thing. It exists. It just needs to be aware of the size of the market that you're in, and also to ones that are tied to like fundamentals. So when I say fundamentals, like let's say a crypto project that's like, I don't know, $250 million to maybe $2 billion, like a newer product that's coming to the market. I'm going to say ZBAC only because this one we looked at last night. Sure. I'm not implying anything with ZBAC or not, but when people in ZBAC, let's say, because the teams have tokens, like they have things that are there, and like and they're also very early, supporters of that, have a lot of tokens as well. And when products are released and when announcements come out, you'll see a lot of weird price action happen, because it's like, oh, everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're going to FOMO into this. Well, those are the ones who are taking profits there. So it's almost like if you can be aware of those things and think about it from a different point of view and keep your FOMO in check, you will be much more successful in crypto. If I could tell myself and go back 5 years and say, anytime I felt FOMO, if I could change that to be, hey, Doug, pay attention, don't do anything, I would be much more successful, because chasing green candles is just, you're going to end up having to stare at your, a negative 20, 30% for hours, days, weeks until you see that next move up. So if you see something moving, you're like, I didn't catch it. You're like, okay, it is what it is. Crypto's great. It's 24/7. There's always an entry. So lesson for myself in the past that I wish I knew, and I'd be maybe sitting in my own office and not a shared space right now, or my bathroom at home. So
Good tips. Good tips for the savvy trader. I want to remind everybody that it's about that time where we're going to take our dogs and ponies and ride into the sunset. But we do want to hear your last minute questions, your final suggestions, your good jokes, your words of wisdom. And then I want to invite you to come back tomorrow. We'll be here live, same time, same place, 7 a.m. Central for the Rise Up morning show. And tomorrow we've got Rise Up After Dark. If you just can't get enough, if your question doesn't get answered, then head over to rumshq.com, RUMSHQ, and jump into the Rise Up community. We're on that platform Circle. We migrated from Discord. It's so much more user-friendly. It's got everything. Great place to ask your questions, share what you know. Doug's going to post there about Anna Cooling. I will remind you. The only thing missing is you. And if you're one of those premium members, or you're somebody who is in the Discord and you're trying to port over, don't worry. We'll get you over there. We're not going to miss you. Amsfar says, got to pump it up. It's on the way. And Carol asked a great question. She said, can you recommend a bot or a prompt for using GPT to get those 75% passable gains you were talking about, Doug? You said trading bots are too easy. And I have a lot of folks all the time asking me, I hear I can use bots to trade. If you want to take it, I'm glad to give it to you. But I also am happy to give an overview for like somebody who wanted to get started with a bot. There definitely are things you can do. I don't think it's quite as easy, Doug, as you represented it to be, for somebody to tune into our show one time, hear about crypto, and then program a bot that will earn them passive income for the rest of their lives.
I'll let you answer the question, because actually I haven't used bots in a long time, but I will say my 75% number I made up. And also too, I believe that if I told you it was 95% successful, and if you use the bot, you're still going to trade yourself, because it's unfortunately it's an addicting type world. Again, that's if you're a trader and you want to be active. It's like, for me, it's like, even if I knew it was there, I like honing my craft. I like learning and a new skill and being kind of part of that game, you would call it. So just first and foremost, that 75% number was made up, but I'll let you take that answer,
Okay.
Evan.
That's good to know. And I would say, generally speaking, your trading bot is only as good as the signals you give it. If I was to program a trading bot, knowing what I know, it would look very different than the bot that Doug programmed. And I'd be willing to bet that the one that Doug programmed would probably be better, because of a different kind of understanding about the market. It's not just a turn it on and hope solution. You got to treat it like a business. The step-by-step approach I would recommend is, you should check out a website called 3 Commas, or ask your GPT or your Claude about it. 3, the number 3 followed by commas. It's a tool that automates trades based on your strategy. They can follow something called grid trading. You can look that term up. Dollar cost averaging. They can do signal-based strategies. The entire success of the bot depends on how you configure it and the market conditions that exist. It won't automatically beat the market. You pick a strategy and set it for this month, it might do really well. It might do really poorly the next month. And I would encourage you, as you work on it, to start small and think tuition. Treat your first month like you are paying for an education. And the cool thing about 3 Commas is you can use a paper trading mode, which means you can practice trading without actually spending real money. And then when you go live, you start with a small amount you could lose without any pain. Honestly, I think $100 is plenty to learn without like wrecking your account. You can try with different exchanges, different trading pairs, and then you can look on YouTube, you can look on TikTok, you can look around the internet to see about other people who are using this kind of stuff. 3 Commas is popular enough that people have content about it. If you want to keep working on it, you'll get a lot of feedback from that bot that this is or isn't right for you. But I would think about it more like a side hustle, more like a second job, more like going back to school than I would, getting a lamp that you turn on and off sometimes at your house. I hope that helps. Doug, another question we got here is, what news sources do you guys like? My favorite source of news is the Unchained podcast. They have a great show called The Chopping Block. They also have another good show called Bits and Bips, BIPS, which is macro focused. They're getting their own channel soon. Unchainedcrypto.com. They also have a really good newsletter that they send once a week. And I like the CoinDesk newsletter called Crypto Daybook Americas. It's a morning newsletter. I source a lot of my own news there. And the other newsletters I like are from Seed Club, like Plant a Seed, Watch It Grow, Seed Club. They have a weekly consumer crypto roundup that's a little more niche, but I find it very fascinating. And honestly, that's about it. I subscribe to other stuff like Dune Analytics has a cool newsletter. That's sometimes fun. Blockworks has a couple newsletters. They're sometimes fun, but those are my big sources. What about you?
I subscribe to a lot of things that I don't read.
Yeah.
I'm really good at that. And kidding aside, it's almost like it's just that there's so much happening all the time now, where it's almost like and I hate to say it, like I'm living in the moment of whatever is on the hellscape that is X, which by the way has not been as horrible as it's been in the past because most people are not losing money at the moment. But I just want to get a sense for the important things that are coming up from an economic standpoint. That's really it. So if I look at like an economic calendar of when your economic key dates are, like this morning was one of those, being aware of those is key. And then just at least understanding the topical trends that are, for the day, which now I've been doing with ChatGPT. I mean, even the free version, just say, hey, what are the 3 things I need to know today if I'm someone who cares about markets? Like just talk to that and not overcomplicate it. But if you're someone who wants to get more in-depth insight and thoughts, I would definitely go with the recommendation that you just gave, Evan.
Thank you. The last question I'd like to answer is the altcoin super cycle guaranteed? But let me remind you first that all of the sites, the resources that we've shared in this episode today are going to be available to view as a recording. These live forever on YouTube. They live forever on your favorite podcasting app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and in the description for every episode, I curate a list of links that are mentioned, links to bots like 3 commas, links to TradingView, which Doug uses to analyze charts, and so on and so forth. And I will put the names of the newsletters, the sources that we mentioned there. Doug, do you think the altcoin super cycle is a sure thing?
Nothing is a sure thing in crypto. Nothing. Assume everything goes to zero. Besides Bitcoin. Yeah, probably besides Bitcoin. Just assume everything goes to zero. We said last night, and anything else above that, it's a positive. Your expectations are set. But no, and anyone who is sharing that is trying to just get your attention and have you be there and envision this future that's what it was in the past. Now, I'm not saying it can't happen. It just won't look like what it was back then because there's so many more markets. There's just the attention shifts so fast. And I'm seeing it in real time with the memes. And you can say what you want about memes, but it does give a good gauge of sentiment of how fast people's attention changes. So like someone brought up Hawk 2 the other day. I'm like, that was like 3 years ago. Like it's just things shift and move. And back in 2021, I remember I go on CoinMarketCap, there were like 3,000 tokens. Now there's 100,000 tokens being created a day. So it's almost like I believe the super cycle that we're talking about, or people are talking about, will happen in pockets, in silos, similar to last year when the AI agents started booming. I think that was a $25 billion market in a couple weeks and months. And there were 15 to 20 agents to start, and there were 1,800 when it kind of ended, when it topped. But those just move very, very fast, and like you could do very well if you're just aware of those trends. So it's like the macro type of things that are moving has pockets of alts. Now, I would love to be wrong. I would love to see a beautiful 2021 move that's there, and if it does, I'll be surprised. I'll be like, hey, great, this is fantastic, but I'm not going to sit here and wait for it and expect it's going to happen because I don't believe it will. But there are going to be opportunities to make money in this market without a doubt.
Yeah, I agree completely. If you're watching, you're paying attention, you can make money. If you are expecting things to happen exactly as they did in the past, then that's too easy. If it was that simple, everybody would be here. They would be spending their money on exactly the right tokens at exactly the right time. We'd all be bajillionaires. And so never invest more than you can afford to lose. Always invest in your education, and you can never go wrong by spending time around people who are sharing what they know from a place of conviction and giving you resources to verify it. That's always a formula for success. And the place you can do that with us is in the community. So Doug, that's kind of my final thought. I feel pretty well met. Have you got a last thought to send people off with?
I will say I am getting, so I really like charting when things are moving, because I just don't want to, just try like the any picture of the false hopes of things moving, but things are starting to look great. So I'm super excited for when the remainder of this year and to get going live inside the circle, the Rise Up Morning Show community, because I may be jumping in all the time throughout the day when I get a break between calls just to kind of pop in and look at charts. So I'm excited to have that opportunity. So my words of wisdom: survive. Your goal is to survive. It does that. If we get what seems like it may move or may come, it's going to become easier. You just don't want to have that FOMO feeling pull you into something that's all of a sudden now you're just drawn by something someone said very loud. Just be patient, have a plan, don't put all your eggs in one basket, and that's it. And take profits. I know it's easier said than done, but it may be good times are coming.
Beautiful. Thank you, my friend, for making time to join the show today. I really appreciated it. You can catch more of Doug every Monday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time at Rise Up Market Watch. And to all of you, my friends listening, thank you for being the very best part of what we do. The 8-Ball says, risk it, flip a coin. Oh my God, terrible advice. Doug just gave such sound advice, and the 8-Ball is just going to drop it on the floor. We got to go, but we'll be back tomorrow, and we can't wait to see you then. My friends, stay well, be safe. Everybody,
Thanks.
rise up.